Hello and welcome to the Worn and Wound podcast. My name is Zach Kazan. I'm the managing editor at Worn and Wound. We have a really fun show for you today. I'm joined today by Zach Weiss, co-founder of Worn and Wound. Zach, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Excellent.
Also joined by Worn and Wound's media manager, Devin Pennypacker, making his return to the podcast. Devin, how are things going with you?
Very good. Yeah. It's not raining today, thank God. So things are good.
That's great. I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear the weather's nice. Weather's nice here in Concord, New Hampshire too. It's starting to feel like not summer exactly, but like spring is definitely in full force. Here, which is good. So, well, we have a really good show today. We're talking about an article that you wrote, Zach, called "Bad Actors," which is a very clever title.
Thank you.
Very. A provocative title if you really stop and think about it.
Gotta get the clicks.
Gotta get those clicks. Gotta get them somehow. All about kind of like watch mistakes in movies. And you had some interesting takes in there. We're also going to talk about some other recent movie and TV watch spotting that we've observed just in the last couple of weeks, really. So that's on the agenda for today. Before we get started, we, of course, will do a wrist check. Devin, let me start with you today. What are you wearing today?
Ooh, okay. So I'm wearing the Trafford Day Tripper I-95 in for review at the moment. And just giving it a real good test drive.
Cool. Is that tell me about that watch. What's the,
so it's, the big thing here is that Nathan has very cleverly taken the Miyota 9075 and removed the GMT hand and put the hour hand onto the GMT hand. So much like the Aquaterra, you can move the hour hand independently without changing the seconds or minutes. So nice, typically, mid-level luxury complication brought into a sub $1,000 price point.
Yeah, that's like I've said it before. I'll say it again. Like right now, that's one of my favorite complications, just being able to jump the local hour hand, irrespective of whether there's a GMT component in the watch. I find that incredibly useful. So, looking forward to seeing your thoughts on that one. Zach, what are you wearing today?
I'm wearing the Timex X Keith Haring watch. I don't know if this had a name or not. I picked this up last year when they came out, and it's a fantastic watch. It's so he actually drew this watch in like a mural once. It's the only watch face he ever drew, and it was just part of one of his pieces, and he actually wrote Timex on it. So this is just a recreation of that drawing as a dial, which I thought was really clever. So like kind of looks almost like it's made out of chalk, it's nicely done.
That's cool. I didn't know you picked that up. I remember when that watch came out. That's a cool concept because it's literally taking his artwork and transposing it to a watch in a way that like makes sense as a watch. So that's
and only Timex could do it because it even has Timex written as he wrote it.
Very cool. I'm wearing my Ming Uni today. No particular reason. Just thought I'd wear the Ming Uni today. We've had a bunch of Ming news recently, and so maybe Ming's on my mind, and there's more Mings coming, which they just keep multiplying in my inbox. So there'll be a lot of Ming talk all summer, I think, which is fine with me. I enjoy Ming. So all right, let's get into the main topic. Bad Actors by Zach Weiss. Zach, I remember I think you sent us a Slack message like late at night on a weekend or something when you were watching the show that inspired this kind of like deep dive. Tell me a little bit about like how this came together and what inspired it, and just like why Bad Actors? Why do you have to be so accusatory?
So it's the actors themselves are not bad. It's the joke is, it's bad actors watch mistakes on the screen, something like that was the rest of the title. But the actors are fine, but provocateur. So this is actually an idea I have had for a while to execute because I've noticed these things where there's mistakes of varying kinds made in movies and on screen and TV. regarding watches. And I think, ones that, we'll get to later, the most common, it's like, oh, that watch wasn't really in that period or something like that. And, obvious example there is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt's watch, which wrote the article. I think the first article on that as well.
Mhm.
It was the most exciting part of the movie for me, to be honest. And anyway, so I've just always had this in my head because there's like a few of these like mistakes but some of them are really niche. Like you really have to know watches to kind of pick up on them. And I think that's even more fun. Although one commenter said, "Get a life," which, maybe there's an argument to be there as well.
Yeah, that I just want to stop for a second because this comment. I mean, I'm scrolling down now to find it. Yeah, this is a lengthy comment. This is like 4 paragraphs. This guy took time to write.
Yeah, he needs to get a life now, man.
Yeah, just want to say, really rude. That's annoying.
I'm gonna thumbs down it right now.
Yeah, thumbs down that comment. We welcome discourse on Worn and Wound's
of course.
blog post, of course. But like, listen, if you're going to be rude, well, we're going to call you out for being rude. And this guy, rude. So anyway,
and I have a life. It's just doing this. Is the life.
This is
saddest ever, sadder, greatest movie.
Seems fine to me. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, what brought this all back up to the surface is I was watching the new and I guess maybe popular TV show on Apple TV starring John Hamm called Your Friends and Neighbors. And in both episodes 1 and 2 were some egregious, offensive watch mistakes that would have been, been one thing if they had just been a passing sort of like, glance at a watch, but they put a huge emphasis on these watches, more so than you like any show had before. And there's rattling off facts, rattling off details. They're doing these like cool little macro shots. And they decided in those macro shots to show the fake ass movements. And it was just mind blowing to me that they would do this on Apple TV with these celebrities and everything. It's just, I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. Honestly, it seems like something that, should be a bigger deal, especially considering fakes are a big deal in the world. You always see, $200,000 of fakes were destroyed this year or some, some crap like that. Well, these were forgery watches. They weren't like homage watches. These were the fakes, and they were bad ones too, particularly in the movements. Actually, so I guess some of the fakes now are really good. That's the more challenging part. Well, these are crappy fakes.
These are fakes you can spot a mile away. Like these are not. These are quite obvious.
So yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh my God, someone wrote about this. No one wrote about it. There's a New York Times article that wrote about the watches without writing about it, which shocked me as well, because they even use an image of one of the fake watches. Like you could see the fake movement in the image in New York Times.
They were not the only ones. There was another article out there that was "This Show is for Watch Nerds," written by a watch journalist who I will not name now, that talked about how incredibly detailed this show was when it talked about watches.
Yeah, and I'll also say I'm not a specialist in either of these two watches, the Patek and the Richard Mille. Like these are not, you don't need to be to realize how fake these are.
But you'd think that they would decorate a rotor.
And a movement in general. Yeah, it's just, oof. The Richard Mille in particular, because that's just like the cheapest looking tin movement. And, Richard Mille's are all skeletonized and insane looking, obviously.
Yeah. So just for a little bit of context, so these watches that are like very obviously fake appear in these sequences in the show where the main character, and I guess spoilers for Your Friends and Neighbors if you want to be like completely surprised, maybe like turn the podcast off. We're not really like breaking any like real new ground here. But
I haven't finished this series yet either. So
so the conceit here is that he's a wealthy like finance guy type who loses his job and needs to turn to like burglarizing his neighbors' homes on wherever he lives in like Long Island or wherever to to sell them. Like,
it's probably Long Island, isn't it? Yeah,
it's either like I don't
or
know
like Connecticut, maybe.
Yeah, Connecticut or Long Island. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, he starts stealing these watches, and like as he's stealing them, he goes into this voiceover narration mode, and you see this kind of like exploded view of the watch. In this case, later it's a handbag, and there's other things that he steals throughout the show. It kind of like goes through like like the specs and the details, and it's supposed to be this like close up sort of like imagery of the watch that's just like so clearly fake. In the normal kind of like walking around scenes where characters are wearing watches, I don't know if you can tell on the show if those watches are real or not. But like
Yeah,
the,
really.
the most prominent featuring of these watches is like so clearly fake. Devin, have you
Yeah.
seen this? Do you watch this?
Yeah. Oh, I'm caught
this
up.
show? Yeah.
I mean, they continue with this trend, obviously, of like high-end, uber luxury, very specific pieces that they're stealing to try and, pay things off. But as far as I can tell, I think so far, like those are just the two watches that they focus on, and then they kind of move on to other things. But yeah, it's strange that they would get so hyper fixated on these pieces but not take the time to make sure that the things are correct, especially with like exploding the watch and really diving into the pieces of the watch.
Yeah.
They go through such an unnecessary amount of like focus on this. Had they just shown the watch in the dark room and they did the same, oh, this is the Patek Philippe, blah 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 blah, with the yada yada yadas, and you're just seeing it on, you wouldn't have had the detail. It's like they put it purposefully in. It's like crazy. Like,
yeah, they're
to
trying to create
focus
like a
on that.
visual signature for the show, and in doing
which
they,
conceptually kind of cool, kind of fun.
Yeah.
Also suggests like John Hamm's character has this depth of knowledge of these things that maybe is abnormal or kind of interesting, that he would know about the watches, know about the handbag, know about, I think, whiskey is in an episode too.
Yeah.
He's a real connoisseur.
The weird thing there, though, too, is if you really think about it, the two watches that they chose are two incredibly well-known pieces. And the whole premise is he's taking things that his neighbors wouldn't notice. But he's taking like the most hype watches that he can possibly take out of the drawer. It's sitting next to other pieces that maybe he might not be able to sell for the same amount of money, but they might be a little less noticed if they're missing. So it's a bit strange there too.
Well, I guess we're getting into plot points now too, but it's like also if they're so wealthy that the conspicuous spending, they don't even know maybe what they have, right? It's like
maybe, yeah.
I will say,
care.
Like this show is I don't think this show's very good. Like I'm maybe like I'm not fully caught up yet. I think I have like one or two episodes behind. I was kind of into it at the beginning, but it's turned into something a little bit more conventional. I think, and it seemed like a little bit more risky or perceptive about something in the first episode or two, and now it's kind of like devolved into something else. So I don't know that, like, it's almost like, is it worth getting like offended over this show that's going to be I don't know, like, not,
you're trying to tell me to get a life,
not
Zach.
well remembered. Yeah, no, I am that commenter. That's that's my pseudonym. I do think that I want to present like a counterpoint to your friends and neighbors, your friends and neighbors kind of like a kerfuffle here, and that is like, yes, the watches are fake, and they don't look good, in this scene, but it struck me as I was watching these first couple episodes, and there's a lot of watch talk, that like this is the most watch content on a mainstream show that like I've ever seen, and like the information is like basically on point. Like if you're a casual person who doesn't know anything about watches, like you're not being like fed a bunch of lies about like the value of like a gold Patek Philippe Nautilus or a Richard Mille. And I thought that was noteworthy, that like, the run of the mill person who like doesn't care about watches is getting some like kind of insider watch information that's like legit here. Is there any like value in that at all, even if the watch is presented as as fake?
No.
Just hard no.
I think stats are fun. I think it's cool that like, if you have an interest in it, you probably care about it, and it sounds impressive, right? Like if someone just starts rattling off facts, it sounds very impressive. But if you don't care, you don't care. So if you really, really don't care, that's a very long scene that you're just sitting through, waiting for him to just grab the watch and walk away.
But I guess what I'm saying is it would have been easy for them to write it as like he steals a Rolex Submariner or something, because like most people know what a Rolex Submariner is, or they know what Rolex is, and like a watch person watching that would be like, well, that's silly. Like these, like these tech guys or finance guys or whatever, they're going to have something much more valuable. Like the watches seem realistic to what someone of this status and wealth would have.
It's like, on one hand, I totally agree with you. It puts a level of detail and intention that all but the one aspect are correct. And then it almost like that makes it almost so much worse at the same time that it's then fake, because like, yes, it is it is presenting it on a level of detail, and they are specific references, and they're well thought out references too.
Yeah.
And they get the price points, of the resale value actually pretty close to them as well. I think they say 175,000 for this white gold. No, it's not give you, that's a price on like Chrono 24 or something right now. But then to just stab you right in the back or the heart or the whatever with the incorrect movement, the photo. It's just, I don't know. It's so close and yet so far. It's.
The real tragedy is there's some writer who actually wrote that scene who is now watching it on a screen and just their toes are curled up in anger. Their face is beet red and they're like, I was so close to being able to get my enthusiasm into a show only to have it fall short.
We got it in kind of. It's just it's didn't quite didn't quite connect.
So admittedly, these are also hard watches to just get.
Yeah.
Whether or not the brand would lend them to them, I don't know. But they're again in this New York Times article, they say that they like borrowed them from like authorized vendors. I think was the choice of words they used rather than dealers.
Auction houses, maybe?
For like a portion of like some price to have them for X amount of time. But these watches are also not just sitting around in stores,
right?
So Anyway.
That's potentially a troubling revelation there.
Trouble's afoot.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep watching Your Friends and Neighbors because it's got that like Apple TV Plus sheen. It's like so well produced, and besides the fake watches, obviously, like it's just got that like I find it compulsively kind of watchable, even though like the show is bad. Sort of like I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm like hate watching it, but it's like I don't know. It's got like big stars and, like expensive things, and it's very well lit and well shot, and I'll keep going. But yeah, it seems bad. I don't. It's not a great show. Another show that you wrote about, Zach, is a great show. I think holds up remarkably well after several years of being off the air. And that's Breaking Bad. You wrote that you've seen this from start to finish at least 3 times. I think I have too.
Yeah. Recently as well.
Yeah. It's been a while for me. But just a fantastic show. I have fond memories of watching the final stretch of episodes like in real time as they aired. It's just like one of the most like exciting kind of like TV watching experiences I can recall. And you write about an issue with a Tag Heuer Monaco, which is not used in a way that it should or could be used. Why don't you walk us through that?
Yeah. So in the final season, and this is another point where it's like they go so far to introduce a watch that's sort of like interesting and relevant in some ways. So Jesse gives Walt a gift, and it's a Tag Heuer Monaco, like a modern one. I don't know the reference, but. And it's sort of, people notice it on his wrist. I think his brother-in-law notices like, oh, wow, that's a nice watch. Like it's uncommon for the character who lived a modest life. It doesn't fit with obviously his story is of being, whatever. But it's, it's this nice, but approachable watch too. It's not like a Patek. It's like a watch you very likely might have known or seen or know somebody who has, if they, it's a, I don't know, it's like a bar mitzvah watch or something.
Sure.
Kind of a thing,
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or a wedding watch. It's also whatever. It's a known watch. So a couple of episodes later, there's this famous sequence where he has aligned with a group of rather unsavory characters the murdering of 11 different people, all who are currently in separate jails, or like they're in clusters in different jails, and they all have to be murdered within a 2-window period. So the news of any one of their murders doesn't get out because they're all witnesses. And otherwise they'd all be put, they wouldn't be able to get to them. He's not in the jail. He can't see it. And the way they sort of kick off this sequence is by starting the chronograph on the watch. But they do it by pushing in the crown and not the pusher. It's not a split design. It is not a mono pusher through the crown. It is just a wrong way of doing it. In theory, it probably worked because the crown was out, the watch was stopped, and it was hacked, so they pushed it in. But it's just like there's a fundamental misunderstanding of how the watch works. And it's big on the screen. It's the whole screen. It's a focus, it's just really focused in. And that was very strange to me. I kind of wonder how that happened. Yeah, I wonder how that happened, actually. That would be interesting to see if we could find out. Was it that Cranston, was it that he perhaps didn't know how to operate the watch, or was this how he was advised to operate the watch?
I would suspect. Oh, first of all, Devin, have you seen? Were you familiar with this mistake?
Yeah, I actually turned the first time I saw that I turned the TV off at that scene.
Wow.
Honestly, like, so this is a show, frankly, like I didn't love it as much as a lot of people did, and found myself kind of stop starting along the series quite a bit. And yeah, so I wasn't as invested at that point. So when it was time to kill all 11 people and you push the crown in, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to take a break and walk away for a little bit. So yeah, it was a hard stop for me. I am very curious while we're talking about this though, like if that was product placement, if TAG had a part in putting that on screen, because they have a long history of obviously even putting historical references into TV shows and movies. And this watch is very prominently featured, whereas before in the show, there's not as much product placement. And this is like very bold.
Yeah, it's the only thing like it, I think.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. That I'm not sure. I honestly like never considered that. It's possible. I think that I read it. I remember reading a New York Times article years ago about like all the product placement in shows that like you don't even realize is product placement, but like so many things that are just kind of like, in the background even are there intentionally as product placement. So it certainly would make sense that there's an element of that here, given that the watch is so prominently featured and is literally like a plot point in the show. Although there's also a trend of brands not wanting to be associated with things that are negative, and so like their watch being used as a timing device for murder might rub TAG the wrong way. I don't know. I don't know if that's maybe that was the direction they
made up for it by putting 3 in the Barbie movie, so they're good.
That's true. It's like how like Apple doesn't want villains to be using iPhones, so it's like kind of like the same idea. I have a feeling, I have a hunch that Bryan Cranston was not involved in this at all. I have a feeling those hands that you see like in those insert shots are like an extra, or like someone else, like probably shot by like a second unit or something after the fact. And I suspect that even on a show like Breaking Bad, which at the time this was like this was the final season, and it was everyone is talking and thinking about Breaking Bad, and there's a lot of money behind it at that point. Even at that stage on an FX show, I imagine there's like a certain kind of like rushing of these like second unit shots, and not a ton of care going into it. So I would suspect that that's sort of like where it comes from, just like people not knowing, like just like not having a clue. People who you can't even say should know better, because they're just like the people on the lower rungs probably of the production.
They don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And they had no temptation to push the big ass button above the crown, which might have,
Yeah, very, very unusual. I can remember seeing this when it came out and thinking like, well, that's odd. And then I never thought about it again until I think I remember having a conversation with you, Zach, once a while back, where you mentioned it, and it occurred to me. And every once in a while, this gets brought up in, watch spotting conversations. But that's a pretty big error. That's not how you use a chronograph at all.
No.
And
he's a real smart guy too. He cooks meth and all other sorts of things. So
good meth. It's the good meth.
Honestly, like it's a smart show that gets like almost everything else right. Like it's very perceptive, and like it's.
I think in this show, yes, but that's also another. Just I think an aspect of all of this is that we only know about watches, and all the other things that might be wrong. We don't pick up on, and it's like the ignorance is bliss aspect to that. So I can appreciate how anal this is.
Yeah,
but
like I don't know if their meth recipe is right or not, because I've never cooked meth. So like
I can't comment on.
Yeah, nor have I used it. Zach.
Yeah, well,
Concord. It's fun.
Yeah, people are struggling here. The other item that you had in this article is about a new movie still in theaters, Sinners, and this is one that I had not picked up on. This was news to me when you wrote about it. Tell us about this issue with Michael B. Jordan's character in Sinners and his watch.
So I'll give the caveat that this one could potentially be wrong on my part. And I think I say that in there, but at the same time, I think it's correct. And this one's super, super, super anal, because it's not even about the watch. The watch seems accurate. It's about the watch strap. So this movie takes place in it's 1930s, right? It's 1932. Yeah. He plays twin characters. They're gangsters, and one of the characters has a watch on that they kind of put a little bit of attention on it early in the film because he's like looks at his watch and says this guy's late, kind of a thing. So you kind of like know he's wearing a watch, and he has it on the whole time. But the whole movie takes place really over the course of a day, so it makes sense that he wouldn't have taken it off. Anyway, so it's like a trench watch in the 1930s would have had solid lugs. There weren't spring bars, so would have had a pass-through strap or some sort of sewn-on strap of some kind. He referenced being in World War I, so it's very possible that this was an actual trench watch. And the straps that existed back then, though similar to straps of our day, did not feature like the metal rings that you'll find on a modern day mill strap, as I like to call them. So I actually found a really amazing article, which I linked to in the post. There, a guy like looks at all of the straps, like potential straps from World War I, and you'll never see the hardware that you'll see on a modern mill strap on this. And there it is. And so you have rings on either side of the watch. And so he's basically wearing a strap that was invented likely, in the 1970s, could have been a contemporary strap even. And that's the issue. That's it. That's the whole thing. But I put that one in there more because it's just like a new movie and, kind of, and everything else in that movie, once again, other than the magical realism aspects of it, feel very, very, very accurate. And, I have a feeling like something like this could have gotten through out of a practical issue, like the strap that was on it didn't fit or something, and they just needed something. He's a bulky dude, so you could see that happening. Yeah.
I think they probably even got like the magical realism stuff right. I think this is how vampires really.
Well, no, I wasn't even. There's a scene where they have some time necessarily kind of.
Well, that too. That's what happens when you listen to great blues music. You
see the future for sure.
It's real
and the past.
Yeah. This was totally. I missed this completely. I noticed the watch, of course, because the watch is like very prominently featured. Like, it's just like you see it all. You see it all the time. It's like it's even featured in the poster. I went to a movie last night. And this will come up later in the episode. But like I remember like I walked by the Sinners poster and like it's huge. This is a huge banner kind of thing like on the wall of the theater, and like the watch is like it's prominent. Like you're meant to see it. Like you're meant to observe this like part of the costume. So yeah, I have a feeling that's probably a just like a costuming glitch rather than like an accuracy mistake. Devin, have you seen Sinners? Do you have a
No, and now I can't. The whole movie's just ruined by this inaccuracy.
Yeah, that's what we're doing today. Really, is we're just ruining things for people. But
I've seen the watch and the posters. Honestly, too, one thing that I think might happen from time to time, and we kind of have in our rundown other wrong time period watches, but I think there's a real chance too that like the costuming department might source a watch that's of an era, and the person they sourced it from put a new strap on it, and they just don't change the strap in the costuming section of the department. So they think that it's period correct because the watch is, but they don't know the person who owns it swapped it for something more modern. I think that honestly could happen very easily, because if you're sourcing this from someone who's reputable, you wouldn't even think to check it.
Yeah, that's probably true. I think something else that's worth mentioning is Ryan Coogler, the director of Sinners, is reportedly something of a watch guy. He's been photographed wearing multiple Rolexes. He's been photographed wearing like very exotic, I think Cartiers, like on red carpets and things. So he's someone who's like aware of watches. Like he's not like doesn't seem like a complete neophyte.
Never mind, Ryan, you messed up. Off with your head.
But he wasn't aware that strap was designed in 1973 by the MOD. Oh my God.
Over. Yeah. Canceled.
Yeah. This one is like uniquely, and this is why I enjoy like, reading this article. Like this particular one is like uniquely anal and very,
thank you.
Like
very,
it's really,
that's a wise pick right
there.
Yeah. But so I'll say though, my girlfriend who, has obviously absorbed certain amounts of watch information from me mentioned this to me after seeing the movie. She's like, was that the right, because she picked up on it too.
Oh, wow.
So, hey, looking at watch straps.
Yeah,
because they're all over our room and our apartment.
Yeah. the things you just absorb through
Yeah.
through contact with the watch community. It's
Mhm.
a whole
Very
world
useful.
of whole
We
world-
are sorry.
Yeah, truly useful. I wanted to also
Yeah.
talk about some other big watch mistakes in movies. Zach, you kind of like touch on it in the in the conclusion to your article that like this is just scratching the surface. One that is like a favorite of mine, which you didn't discuss in detail, but you kind of alluded to, is Ben Affleck's watch in Argo.
Mhm.
He wears a modern Submariner in Argo, which is a movie that takes place, it's a period piece that takes place in the 1970s. Affleck is also the director of Argo, and I like this mistake. I think it's just very amusing to me, because to me it feels like very Boston coded. It, like I can imagine someone like telling him like that watch wouldn't, that wouldn't be the watch he'd wear in the 1970s. Like we can get you like a vintage one. And I can just imagine Affleck snapping back like, no, it's my watch. I'm wearing my watch. And it just seems like a very like Affleck kind of thing. And I like Affleck, and I like the movies that he's directed, including Argo, but especially The Town. The Town is fantastic.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah.
like the town.
But like, I don't know, like to me, there's just something very Boston about like Ben Affleck insisting on wearing his modern Submariner on the set of a movie that takes place in the 1970s. So I just wanted to mention.
Yeah.
Argo.
Once again, like the most probably famous era for Rolex sports watches, like no one's going to pick up on it,
Yeah.
No.
But
Yeah. Either of you guys have any other notable watch mistakes that you wanted to throw out there that you think are worth discussing?
I threw two on this list because they're very similar to ones we've talked about. I put the Big Short on there because on that one, Steve Carell wears a modern Rolex Submariner with the ceramic bezel insert, which was not of the period as well.
that
and
was
that one-
available in 2008.
It was one. What was it, like 20? It was like a 2015 model or something like that. It was a newer model that he was wearing. That just wasn't of the time period as well. And then kind of going back to the one we talked about, Your Friends and Neighbors, Mad Men also has some watch mistakes in there. A Bulova that is ticking like a quartz watch, which some people call out, and then a more modern Rolex being worn. So just
Interesting.
weird offenses by John Hamm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
John Hamm's all over this.
Yeah.
This
He just
episode,
doesn't
really.
know his
Yeah.
watches.
Yeah,
It's actually interesting because I know a lot of it, like, I feel like Mad Men sort of kicked off a certain type of vintage watch
Yeah, for sure.
enthusiasm.
The vintage
and there
Omega
was-
blew up because of
Yeah.
that show.
And like the tuxedo tutor, maybe that one of the characters wore. So yeah, I somehow missed that there were mistakes in that. But yeah, that's another thing. I mean, you'll see this in various shows, and like I can't like remember exactly the one, but sometimes they'll play ticking and they'll show a quartz watch or something. Like things don't quite line up like that. In the like opening credits or end credits for Wonder Woman, they show a pocket watch that Chris Pine's character wears. And in the movie, the watch is correct in the movie, but in the end credits, it has an extra center second hand that's ticking, even though they also drew like ticking like quartz, even though they also drew in the sub-second. So somebody was like, we have to add motion to it.
I think that speaks more to the fact that you were so bored during Wonder Woman that you noticed this
Maybe.
mistake on the pocket.
The
watch.
theme song's good.
Was this the original Wonder Woman or 1984, the sequel?
The original one, which was
Okay.
better than 1984. I mean,
Yeah,
1984 is a train wreck.
1984 was-
Miles
Yeah,
better.
that was really that was quite bad.
Yeah,
Kristen Wiig plays the villain in that movie, I think. It's,
which is such a waste of Kristen Wiig.
yeah.
That was a waste of a movie. Let's just
It's a COVID
cancel
movie.
that whole
It's,
one,
that was one of those day and date movies that just dropped on HBO Max one day and
yeah.
played in theaters, but like
They're
Which
going to
is now
reinvent
HBO
the
Max
DC
again.
universe now.
yeah. Maybe there'll be better watches in the new DC universe. We'll have to wait and see. Superman. this
Well,
summer.
John Cena is a big watch guy.
That's true.
And he, as Peacemaker and perhaps more involved in these, hopefully he's keeping an eye on things. So,
Yeah. I'm sure he is. That's why he's there.
yeah, totally.
Any other watch mistakes you guys identified or want to talk about? I gotta admit, like I usually when I see a watch in a movie that like I recognize, like I don't even think to like to like kind of like check to see if it's like historically accurate or whatever. Like when I see a watch that should be automatic ticking, like that's a very common thing that I
Yep.
that you notice. But
Often watches are just set to 10:10 and not running.
That's true.
also.
Yeah.
This is not a mistake at all, but it was something that sort of maybe you could consider this a mistake if you're getting very, very, very specific. So in the show Pit, the lead character Robbie is wearing a Seiko 5, totally fine, like a contemporary Seiko 5 with a nylon mill strap. And as was pointed out by various people, that you would not wear an absorbative strap like that in an ER because it would get absolutely disgusting, and be a hygiene issue as well.
Yeah.
So perhaps like good choice, and it fits the character too. He's like a humble guy. You'd feel like he'd have a purposeful watch, and like it just, to have that strap in an ER, not logical.
Nurses wear Crocs, which have holes in them. So, I mean, they're getting fluids.
Yeah, but those watches are made to be like shoes rather are made to be like hosed down. Like,
exactly,
that's why
hosed down.
Yeah, that's
They were also used in Idiocracy because the costume designer thought these were the stupidest shoes ever, and nobody will wear them.
Yeah, I hate them with a passion.
It's the greatest thing. Like they weren't popular. They bought out the whole run or whatever, and lo and behold, in the stupid future we live in, they were very popular.
Now we have a G-Shock Croc, literally just announced this week. So yeah, what a world we live in. On back to the Pit, I'm curious because that show takes place, ostensibly like in real time, like hour by hour. So I'm wondering if there was like a production issue there. Like, has anyone kind of like found a shot of the dial of Noah Wiley's watch, that should display a time that like you could, definitively like determine it is like in the world of the show, and if it matches? I imagine that would be like probably impossible to manage on a set. But if I like that watch choice, strap notwithstanding. I thought that was like that was a good kind of watch casting.
And it was nice to see like a Seiko 5. Sometimes you also see in random movies, like, I don't know, just a real, I don't want to say nothing watch, but like a watch you just pick up at a mall or something. It has like a non-brand, or it's like a licensed watch brand or something, like a Tommy Hilfiger or something like that, right? But it's a Seiko 5. I mean, this is like an enthusiast watch through and through, and it's well priced and it's mechanical. And like, I do really like the choice. It might have even been the GMT. Was it? I'll look it up. I think it was
possibly.
PVD.
Yeah, we can check on that.
No, it's a cool choice. Very cool choice.
Yeah. I think that's a good lead into the next kind of phase of the discussion here, which is some of our favorite recent movie and television watch spots. I think certainly like the Pit is in that category. Devin, you want to kick us off here? Do you have one that you want to mention?
Yeah, but it's kind of for like anti-watch spotting, I guess. The first one I thought of was The Last of Us, because the watches in The Last of Us are very vague and very generic, and there's a whole huge thread going on of like trying to figure out the source of them, trying to figure out the brand, trying to figure out where the parts came from, who made them, because most of them are like custom pieced together watches just to kind of go for the show. And then some of them too are trying to follow the lead of the video game. So it's very interesting seeing people trying to, spot the watch that isn't a watch. It's been a fun rabbit hole to fall down.
What is the right watch for those characters in The Last of Us? Like, is it like
anything you could find?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably like a Seiko Turtle, right? Like, or a Willard or something like that. But most of them are wearing field watches because they are very militaristic.
See, I would argue that if you were in this universe, a zombie universe, let's say, and you kill a bunch of zombies, at some point you're going to run across a Cartier crash or something. You know what I mean?
True.
Like the zombies are wearing the watches they had. So you would just take the nicest watch. You take the nicest gun. You take the nicest whatever. You
have to get like 100 headshots to unlock the Cartier crash, though. Like,
yeah, I mean, whatever it is.
Behind a paywall.
I would believe that more. And in fact, I want somebody take note. Please put that into some show or movie where you're just like, they have baller
Stealing
watches
from zombies. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I mean, of course you would. Of course you would. You steal everything. You're scrappy at this point. I mean, at this
Yeah.
point, you're killing constantly. Stealing a watch of a dead
Yeah.
person is not your biggest problem. You know,
There's a lot of killing in The Last of Us. I have to say
Yeah.
the body count is quite insane.
Yeah.
In that show, I'm thinking more like, is it practical to have a mechanical watch in that universe? Wouldn't the ideal watch be one of these like solar powered G-Shocks or whatever that like can just run forever
Yeah.
and ever? Because like
Well-
you need a watchmaker in this universe.
Yeah.
If you know you're wearing mechanical watches.
But you probably can't do I mean, maybe you can do atomic time telling. I don't know like how often satellites need to be serviced to keep time accurate.
Yeah, I don't know what the status of the satellites are. In
Right.
this. Did they have they addressed that in the last?
actually really
of Us universe?
interesting.
Like,
They have not yet. Well, because they all have mechanical. They don't need to worry about the satellites.
yeah,
So I think probably what you'd end up with, the like after, I don't know, like maybe in 28 years later, we'll see that they all just have Unitas, like the simplest kind of watch, you train on, because they'd found a manual eventually.
yeah. Someone could figure that
know,
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. They were using WD-40 or something for
Yeah.
lubricant at this point.
Just a bunch
Yeah.
of Vostoks.
Yeah.
or it might spark a renaissance in watchmaking. Like they
Yeah.
might figure out like a new way to kind of like to fix these watches or to smash pieces together to make something like new that hadn't been done before. Who knows?
I think they have more important things to worry about.
Not all.
Or they
of
have a
them.
lot of idle time.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
I mean, when the season starts, when this season starts, they're not all engaged in like a zombie war. Like
That's
life
true.
is kind of like gone into it's in this like normal state in Jackson.
There's
there for
a lot of guitar playing.
it's it's just like one big coffee house experience. I think in Jackson, it seems nice. You guys like The Last of Us? It's like I'm a little cold on this season. I think it's kind of I'm not as interested in this season as I was last season.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first season. I mean, this one I'm just like, I'm finding the episodes entertaining, but I feel like the last season was really good after it ended. Kind of, and
Yeah.
like you could see the whole kind of vision. So, but I haven't played the game, so I have no idea where it's going.
Yeah, see, I haven't played game 2. I played game 1. So like season 1, game 1, very similar. Never played game 2. So I'm just kind of along for the ride. And I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, I mean, similar to your friends and neighbors, I'm in. I'm going to keep watching. I'm not going to just like I'm not going to bail out. But I don't know. There's some I think there's some like character motivation issues that I have with some of the choices they make. Don't make a whole lot of sense to me.
It kind of cliche. I mean, but I think that is. I saw somebody write about the certain thing that happens in the first episode and compared to how it happens in the game. I don't know why now I'm worried about spoilers for people.
Because this one matters.
And what they said was in the game, you actually play as the character that
Yes.
does the killing,
Yeah.
and you don't know their motivation, and it really makes it far more striking. Whereas here, it's like I'm mad, and then they kill, and then it's I'm going to get revenge. So yeah, it's kind of simplified, but hopefully there's more to it than that.
There's definitely more to it.
Yeah.
I haven't played the game, but I have read the Wikipedia page for for the second game, so I know I kind of have an idea of what's coming. I like to spoil these things for myself sometimes. I don't know why. That could be why I'm not enjoying this season as much, frankly. But,
Potentially, yeah.
yeah. What other? I've got a recent watch spot from Saturday Night Live. Actually, Walton Goggins hosted SNL recently, and he was wearing the gold JLC on that gold bracelet that we've been talking about so much.
Oh, the
And
new
during-
Reverso?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
cool.
Reverso. During his monologue, it was like immediately recognizable, to me and a bunch of other watch people who I saw like immediately kind of like post about it. I don't know if he's an ambassador or the watch was lent to him. Certainly a strong possibility, but just kind of cool to see that watch, sort of not in the wild exactly, but like out in the world, being worn in a situation like that. That's like the watch of the moment. I think it's kind of emerging from Watches and Wonders now, a couple months out from the from the show. Like that's one that really has staying power. So that was cool to see.
Interesting.
Yeah. The Reverso has been splashed over so many different celebrity wrists recently. It's kind of been dominating a lot of headlines. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was another placement. But that one in particular is so different and is so special that it still stands out, even amongst all of the other celebrities wearing Reversos at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Another one that I want to mention, I saw this in a New York Times article earlier this week. They had it was a Wirecutter feature actually with Conan O'Brien talking about like what he travels with, because he has this new, not a new, but it's the second season of his travel show on HBO Max, where he goes to different countries and makes a fool of himself. It's very good. I recommend it. And he mentioned an Echo Neutra watch as a watch that he wears, that he travels with. So I just thought that was a cool call out that Conan O'Brien's out there wearing an Echo Neutra. So
to look that up and see which one.
He could be wearing anything, and that's what he chooses. And I think that's really like the coolest thing ever. We've seen a couple other celebrities do this too, and I wish we talked about them as much as we talked about the celebrities who were just thrown a watch, because these are more meaningful picks.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that I gather that Conan O'Brien has like a watch collection of some kind. You sometimes through the years we've seen him wearing number of different watches, luxury watches, from different brands. I always wondered like how people find like how like a celebrity finds like Echo Neutra. Does someone like put it in front of them? Is Conan O'Brien being worn and wound? Like is he like,
because Echo Neutra was like not a brand that was talked about by really anyone until that. And sorry guys, I love you guys, but it was just not a brand that really was having much of a moment until they came out with the rectangular watch, which name Rivanera, which is an incredible watch and totally, I think, changed people's sort of approach to them. But that watch that they're showing in the 1956, which also, by the way, it's cool that this is like a proper guide and we'll link out to them. It's not just like a throwaway mention. So hopefully they're seeing some attention for this. Like that watch has been out for a little while. It's part of their kind of sporty series that has, some sort of Bell and Ross vibes to it too. And it's like, that is just an odd watch for Conan O'Brien to be aware of, in my opinion, unless he's going down the rabbit hole or somebody very close to him. It's very cool.
Another similar watch spot that just popped into my head that Zach, I think I told you about a number of months ago, is Tracy Letts, Pulitzer Prize winning playwright, also an actor. I saw him appear on a podcast, and I just happened to be watching the video of the podcast, which I never do. It's the Big Picture podcast, which I've mentioned on this podcast before. It's probably one of the better movie podcasts out there. And he was a guest, and he was wearing an Autodromo Group C. Very, very easily spotted because it was I believe it was the yellow one. And I couldn't believe it. Like this, late middle-aged man wearing an Autodromo Group C, who's won a Pulitzer Prize and is like, one of the most, like acclaimed character actors, of his generation, I think is, I thought it was just very interesting. So I just spotting one of these like small brands, independent micro brands, whatever you want to call them, on anyone, but like, notable celebrities for sure is really like a fascinating thing whenever it happens.
Sure. I mean, I think they're friends, but I'm going to blank on his name, but the director of The Brutalist wearing the Lorca.
Yes. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Now I'm blanking on his name as well, but he wore a Lorca for the entire kind of like awards season run. I'm going to look up his name just real quick because I want to make sure we mention it. Brady Corbet, of course, the director of The Brutalist, wore I think the first Lorca watch to the Academy Awards and like every other award show. So
where he won, which is like
yeah. Cool. Any other recent watch spots you guys want to talk about?
I feel like I haven't been watching much. Obviously this is White Lotus, but I feel like that's been kind of talked about a lot. So
to death.
But
I'm gonna throw one more out there.
Okay,
you got one? Oh wait, Zach Weiss, do you? No.
Oh,
okay. The new like teaser for the newest season of Clarkson's Farm it just came out. Basically, it's like an anti-teaser where Jeremy Clarkson's just standing in front of his tractor saying, "Hey, it's coming out soon," because they didn't have time to film an ad. But he's got back the trusty old Planet Ocean back on his wrist. So was pretty stoked to see that. Obviously, like that, he's someone who I have grown up watching and following, and part of the reason why I own a Planet Ocean is because I saw it on his wrist during some of the adventures. So it's really cool to see it back on his wrist and getting beat up on the farm.
Yeah. And that's your watch. You have a Planet Ocean, so that's
the same exact model, same year, all that
connection.
fun stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
That's
wrist
cool.
buddies.
Yeah. I have one last one, which is not exactly a watch spot, but I saw a movie last night and it made me think of a watch, sort of. Have you guys seen Thunderbolts?
I saw it last week.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so this is a spoiler for Thunderbolts. Sorry, Devin, I'm going to spoil something.
That's
for
all right. I
Thunderbolts,
didn't plan on it, so go
for
ahead.
you. But the character of the Void, Zach, that's just Vanta Black. So I think that like when
That's fair. So he should be wearing a Moser.
yeah, like Moser's got to get in on that. Like when I saw the way that they represent the Void in this movie, and for those who don't know or who are interested, they introduced the Sentry character in this film, who has like the flip side of the Sentry is the Void, and so the Void's just like blackness, and it's just like total dark, and I
like featureless, like it's like a hole in reality kind of thing.
And so
a void.
Yeah, exactly. So, right as it says on the tin. And like the first time you see him, it's this shot where he's like kind of like floating like high up in the air, and it just looks like this like black hole, kind of like in the sky. And I immediately, of course, just thought, oh, Vanta Black, Moser, right there. That's it. So yeah.
Yeah, missed tie-in.
Miss tie-in, or maybe not. Maybe Moser doesn't.
It'd be so funny, also for that character in particular.
Yeah.
Though there's a costuming moment for that character, and it could have been funny for it to be in that costuming moment. That like he's wearing a baller Moser. I don't know.
No, that's a good point. I didn't even. That would be interesting. Well, listen, according to the end credits. They will return, so there's an opportunity there, down the line. They're gonna keep making these Marvel movies, I fear, no matter what we say or do.
Hey, look, this one was a step in the right direction. It was way better than most have been in a while,
for sure. Yeah, I think this was probably maybe the best one post Endgame.
I think so,
besides Eternals. Obviously.
Do I need to go see this?
Yeah. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Okay. All right.
And like Lawrence Pugh.
Yeah.
Oh fudge. She's very good in it. She carries the movie. It's nice to have like an actor of that caliber, I think.
Did you find her thick Russian accent and David Harbour's
well,
thick
that's
Russian
terrible.
accent?
Yeah.
Like that's just like really.
I mean, it's once again I'm familiar with like a real Russian accent, and it's just any movies with one is terrible. No one's as bad as John Malkovich in the card game
Rounders.
Yeah. Oh my god, the worst Russian accent ever.
But
from one of the greatest
like,
actors ever. So
but also like an amazing character and performance in spite of the like. It's so funny. Like it's hard to. It's very very memeable. Performance. Those Russian accents feel like they're from another movie, like a
it's also
action movie or something.
They made it like they intentionally dropped that over the course of the films with Black Widow. Like I think in the very early one, she sort of has like a slight accent, and then by the end, it's like just totally gone. And like,
well, there was some political and cultural pressure that made them move away from Russia a little bit.
Yeah.
What
could you possibly be referring to, Jeff? That's why I appreciate the Top Gun Maverick model, where the enemy is a nameless, featureless country that doesn't actually exist. Sometimes it's a little easier that way, or you can just call the bad guys the bad guys. That's also another option. So. Well, guys, thanks for talking about watch spotting and watch mistakes. I think it was a fun conversation. This whole episode really has been like one big cultural recommendation for all the things we've talked about, but I did want to see if you guys had any cultural recs to throw out. Devin, you got one? I know you've got a list going. People love Devin's cultural recommendations.
Well, they always come to you, Zach, but I bring them the sauce here. So I went surfing this past week for the first time ever. Took a surf lesson, bruised my ribs, surfed like 1.5 waves. The back of my knees are sore in places they've never been sore before. But I wanted to bring this up for one. You're giving me a weird look. Trust me, it makes no sense why they're sore. But I brought this up because it's something that's been on my list of like a thing to try for years now, like 5 or 6 years. I posted about it on Instagram, and someone actually DM'd me and said, "Hey, I've wanted to try surfing for a long time too, but never wanted to do it." And we got on this long conversation of like those lists. We all have lists of things that we want to try, things we want to do. And the reality is, the depressing reality is, we're all running out of time. So just like look at your list
Wow.
and do one of those things. They're scary. They might be painful. You might end up with sore knee backs, but like just look at, everyone has a list. Do one of the things on your list.
Check something off your bucket list is basically what you're saying.
It doesn't even have to be a bucket list. We all have, there's like the end game bucket list, but we all also have like those small goal lists, right? Like people want to write a poem or like try to like play music or go surfing or go mountain biking. Just try something new.
I have a list. The first thing on the list is the post I have to prep for Monday on the blog. I guess I can do that.
There you go.
Did you tell me about the surfing? Will you do it again? Will you go back?
Yeah, I plan to. I'd like to ride more than 1.5 waves. I'd like to go back when the surf's maybe a little bit bigger. Early season right now, we haven't had crazy weather patterns, and so it was pretty calm. But it was awesome and painful and exciting, and again, just something that's been on the list for such a long time. And you might not realize it, but Brooklyn is a coastal town. We're 25 minutes away from the ocean, roughly. So I decided to finally take advantage of it and go enjoy Rockaway Beach.
Are you gonna bring your surfboard on the subway eventually?
No, I'm not gonna buy. I can't store a surfboard.
I think it'd be fun to try. I think it'd be
just strap it to my e-bike. I can ride around and bump into all sorts of things.
I like the recommendation, Devin, to do something from the bucket list. My bucket list is mental. I don't have an actual list, but there's things I'd like to try. And someday I'll do them, or one. Surfing's not on the list though. I don't want to surf.
Not yet.
Sounds painful. Zach, you got anything?
Yes. A new album came out.
Okay.
This is a metal album, thrash metal, by the band Inhuman Nature, and the album's called Greater Than Death, and it is an amazing album. They're a very good band to begin with, but this album is just so good. I can't turn it off. It's a great thrash metal, kind of vintagey style, and just excellent.
Fantastic.
So there you go. I highly recommend it if you like metal. Maybe you don't, try it out. You will probably still not like metal, but hey, you never know.
If you do like metal and you like watches and you like our commentary, come and join Warner Wound Plus, where we have a metal channel.
It's true.
Which you and a bunch of people are quite active in, recommending albums, and
talking about live shows.
There. I get to, it's a robust conversation. So great. We'll leave a link for that in the show notes. My recommendation is this is kind of very simple. The TV series Andor, which finished its run. Yes, you're shaking your head. My God.
So I'm laughing because I was just recorded another podcast with a group of people. I ended about 20 minutes before this, and they actually had a cultural recommendation segment as well. And I didn't give the same
copying us, no doubt.
No doubt. Yeah. And Andor wasn't allowed to be the recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because it's like the center of culture right now. Everyone's talking about Andor, but it's just so good. And I remember I was watching. I caught up with the last 3 episodes over the last couple days, and it just struck me that like it won't be controversial at some point for people to say like this is like the best, like the single best Star Wars thing out there. Like it's really like it's really that good. I'm just a huge fan of it. Like they really stuck the landing. I was a little under the weather over the weekend, and so like I binged most of the second season, which I had fallen behind on, and just great experience. I'm a bit of a cynic when it comes to newer Star Wars stuff. I don't watch any of the other shows. I thought the sequel trilogy was mostly like not very good. I can remember a time when there were 3 Star Wars movies and that was it, and that was perfect, and I liked that. So I have a very skeptical eye towards all the new stuff, but Andor rules. So yeah, that's my recommendation.
Two quick comments. So I should also say I was on the Topper podcast, so go listen to the Topper podcast. And Rob Topper did say his recommendation, if though it wasn't Andor, was to go watch Rogue One after you finish Andor.
Yeah, Rogue One.
So I haven't done that. I haven't gotten there yet. The other is you need to talk to Kyle if you haven't about this, because he's desperate to talk to somebody, and I haven't finished it yet. So
will do. Yeah, I'll shoot him a DM. Devin, you're shaking your head. Are you not a Star Wars fan, or are you skeptical about Andor?
I'm hard out on Star Wars. I'm done. I'm fed up. I've had enough. My brother is like the biggest Star Wars nerd you will ever meet. And I'm not just saying that hyperbolically, like he legitimately might be. Collected
Does
everything.
Does he practice
from, like,
lightsabering and such?
He had lightsabers. He would get like empty
is he a
sprinkles
Jedi?
cans
Does he
that
practice?
had
Does he use the
stuff on it.
Force? Like, is he?
I'm sure he would try if he could, but he wouldn't even open the action figures. They would have to stay in the package and then go in a bin so he could look at them. Like insane. So when you grow up with something like that, it makes you kind of not love it. And then Disney didn't love Star Wars, so why should I? And I've just kind of moved away.
Wow. Grumpy, Devin. My goodness.
Unrecommended.
Okay. Well, I like Andor. And I thought it was good. A lot of people agree. Devin's
if you don't like any of Disney, go watch that recent season of Daredevil.
I'm going to.
Is that good?
It's on my short list.
Yeah, I watched it when we were in San Francisco, just like a few episodes every night, and it was like, yeah, it's very surprising, very enjoyable, and yeah, I don't know, much more R-rated than I expected.
Okay.
For Disney. Yeah,
cool. I'll check that out. Thanks, guys. Those are good cultural recommendations, and thank you, Devin, for providing a counter opinion on the most beloved show of the year so far. That was very helpful. We appreciate you listening, as always, to the Worn Around podcast. We will be back next week. Next week is episode 400, guys. I don't know if you realize that.
Oh, boy.
So we'll have a Q&A episode, I think, mega Q&A, mega mailbag episode, if you will. For that monumental feat, 400 of these. My goodness, that is wild. Someone needs to make a Ken Burns style documentary about the Worn Around podcast with all the, like floating images, and that'd be cool. All right, thanks, guys, and thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week. Take care.